Well, I'll introduce myself first. I'm Dick Telleur, also known as Uncle Dickie to my nieces and many people in the fly fishing business, if you can call it a business. And I'm going to tie a unique fly that was designed by a friend of mine that I've fished with for many years. His name is also Dick Soares. And I was visiting him at his place down in St. Croix, and he had this strange fly that I had never seen before that he had designed. And it caught just about every kind of fish that swam past St. Croix, including bonefish, tarpon. I got a beautiful picture of him with a tarpon, snook, and even permit. And so I named it, after I wrote an article about it, the St. Croix anomaly, because nobody could figure out why it worked, because it was a little bit bizarre. And then, of course, Charlesworth invited me down to Andros Island to do a bone fishing thing, and so I took a dozen of those with me, and I was told by the local experts that they were the wrong color, too heavy, and too big. 5 or 6 bonefish later, they were saying, "Did you bring your tying stuff?" Which I did not, but I had a dozen flies. Anyway, I'm going to tie the St. Croix anomaly now. It's not a hard fly to tie. I have here some pink material, which is called Uni Stretch by the Uni Corporation up in Canada, makes all the beautiful threads. And this is kind of a cross between thread and floss, you might say. And I'm going to make a base here because this fly is like the Clouser minnow in that it has a dumbbell, or if you want the fly to be lighter, bead chain eyes. This we're going to do with dumbbell, which was another reason that I was chastised in Andros for having heavy weighted dumbbells, but it didn't bother anything at all, including the fish. So now I've got the base on there, and I'm going to tie on a dumbbell with some crisscross wraps like this, kind of figure eighting it, and I'm going to move it back just a little bit. That's too close to the eye. There we go. The hook I have in there is a very high-tech hook made by the Daiichi Corporation in Japan, and it's part of the X series. And these things are so sharp that you know, if you hold your finger within 2 inches of it, it'll cut you. Anyway, my ratio of fish hooked to landed went up about 300% when they came out with this. So I'm going to put some adhesive right here. My adhesive of choice would be Zap-A-Gap, but I hate to take it on the road because it never fails to leak somehow, but has a life of its own. So we'll just put a little glue on there. And now I'll continue to secure the dumbbell with some more wraps like this, good, tight, snug wraps. Now, as most of you probably know, flies of the Clouser minnow type are designed to ride with the hook facing upwards. So we're going to tie the fly with the hook in the regular position, but since we anticipate that it will be turned over in the water, we're going to put the top materials on the bottom, if you can all follow that. And the first one that's going to go on is some of this lovely stuff. Better living through plastic, as they say, if you all remember The Graduate. And this is simply craft fur. And it's sold in fly shops, but also in Michael's Craft Store and Joann's Fabrics and like that. But the very best quality is an outfit in South Africa that calls themselves Fishient. And I love their products because of great colors, the length, and the texture of the hair. Now, I'm going to remove some of the little short ones in the butt ends. It has that just like a natural animal would, so that they don't bulk up the area that I'm going to tie this on the hook in. So let me just manicure this a minute. It helps to dampen it just slightly so that it makes it more manageable. And now I'm going to tie it right there. And I can either pre-cut it, but I think for purposes of photography, it's better if I leave it long so you can see what I'm doing. Make 4 or 5 good tight wraps right there. And now I'm going to trim this off nice and close up the eye of the hook. Got a few little stragglers out there that we will get rid of, hopefully. Okay, I'll run the the uni stretch out to the eye of the hook and then back again. And at this point, I cross over like this, so that the first layer, the hot pink, is passed between the two dumbbells. And now I will continue to cover that right back to the bend of the hook, just like this. If my unistretch starts to look more like thread than floss, what I'll do is let it unwrap itself a little bit, because you're putting twists in it as you wrap. But I want it to lay fairly flat in this case. Now I'm going to come back right up behind the eyes, and I'm going to leave the thread right in that area there for a moment. Just check and take a look, make sure everything is the way I want it, and eyes on straight. Okay, the next component is another plastic work of art called crystal flash. And I'm going to put, probably 8, maybe 10 strands. And the way I like to do that is to take half as many as I need and tie them in, and then double them over and wrap over them for security, so that they stay in place throughout the durability of the fly. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lay them right on top, right in the middle. I'm going to secure them with a few wraps like this. And then I'm going to bring the back end over the top. So now I have the number of strands that I want. And keeping them right on top, I'm going to wrap to the rear of the hook like this. I'm going to take a look and see about the length. I want them to be almost but not quite the length of the layer of craft fur, and I'll trim them off. Now, before I move the thread forward again, I'm going to add what is called a ribbing. This is a red soft wire, again from the Uni company, and works super well for adding durability and a little bit of coloration to various types of flies. So that will be tied in back here at the very rear, right where the hook bend starts to drop off. I'll make sure I got it just short of the eyes as I wrap forward. And now, the next layer, which will be on the bottom once the fly turns over in the water, and it's a layer of soft pink or lighter pink craft fur. We'll cut off a little bit of that. By the way, I might mention that the hook size I'm tying on is a size 2 by the saltwater scale, and 2 is about as big as I would tie the St. Croix anomaly. I've fished it as small as size 8 with considerable effect. So it's not a fly that you're going to tie huge. The things it represents, like little shrimp and crabs, are not huge. Again, I'm going to kind of weed out the soft stuff, little shorties from the butt end, and I'm going to lay this right over the top of the crystal flash, just like that. Same length as the bottom layer. And get that evened up. I'm going to tie it down this time right behind meaning back towards the bend of the hook of the dumbbell, rather than in front like I did with the first layer. I'm going to wrap back neatly, covering everything to the bend of the hook, like this. Now I'll come forward, and I'm going to lay that butt end down over the top like that. A couple of wraps and we trim. A few little whiskers in there, we'll get rid of them. If I miss any, I'll do them at the end. Now the next thing is to cover up the butt end like this. Build a little ramp, so to speak. And I go back and I pick up my wire, and instead of wrapping over and away as almost every fly tying move is done, I'm going to reverse wrap. In other words, bring it back towards me so it crosses over the wraps of the other materials, and that provides better protection and durability for them. I'm going to come underneath and catch it with the unistretch again and nail it down. and trim. And I can use my Sunday go-to-meeting scissors on this. If I get it down far enough into the scissors, don't cut it out near the tips. It might spread them, and then you'll be very unhappy next time you tie a size 18 dry fly. Now we got two components that will be used to finish off the fly. And I can understand one of them but not the other. And I have asked my friend Dick Soares why he puts this stuff on. And he said, well, it looks good. To who? Dick Soares, me, or the fish, or what? Anyway, he had no explanation, but the fly does not look right without it and does not fish as well without it. This stuff is called ice dub, and it's actually a very finely shaved metallic substance. I don't know just what, some kind of aluminum, I suppose, put out by a company called Hairline. And I'm going to take just a little bunch of it, like this, and get rid of the few straggly ones out towards the end. And it just gets tied on in this position right here. Just like that. And I come back and catch it behind the dumbbells also with a few wraps. And it just sits like that. One more contribution to the name of the fly, Anomaly. Now I'm ready for the final component. This one I do understand. These are legs. This material is called silly leg. It's made out of some silicone composite. Comes in different colors. It's got little dots and so forth on it. I'm sure the fish absolutely insist on that. And I'm going to make 6 legs by starting off with 3 and doubling them over. So I set this up here like this, and I decide how long I want the first set of legs to be. Get them evened up a little bit here, and I'm going to tie them on right there like that with a couple of crisscross wraps. There's one and there's another. Make sure they're centered. Maybe put a couple more on. Now, in order for them to do their thing and to stand up in the position I want, let me see, I got to move this guy up a little bit. He came out too short. There we go. I'm going to hold these up and not let it get mixed up with the other stuff. And I'm going to take a couple of wraps right behind that bunch because I want them to stand up like that. Okay? Then I'm going to take a wrap or two around the front bunch for the same reason. And now they'll stand up like that. Actually, they'll be on the bottom, of course, and they'll be looking like the fly is walking across the bottom of the ocean in the sand or whatever. So now all that's left for me to do is to manicure the front here so that we cover up any loose ends, and having done that, we will finish the fly with what's called a whip finish. I use my handy Mattarelli whip finishing tool, and I'll take 4 or 5 turns up here like this and cinch him up and trim. And add some more head cement or whatever. If I wasn't on the road, I would be using Zap-A-Gap on this so that in case a barracuda or something grabs this fly, it might survive. But again, as I said, I love Zap-A-Gap, but not carrying it on the road. It's like trying to carry a snake in your handbag. They find a way out. So anyway, there's a St. Croix anomaly. And I hope you enjoyed watching the tying. As you saw, it wasn't hard. And if you're going to go to the South Seas, take one with you or a bunch, because it works, despite what it looks like. In case you're looking for me, the name is Dick. That's easy enough. And then there's Telleur, which we don't know where that came from. It's supposed to be German, but it sounds French to me. Anyway, that's Talleur. And that's simply the name of my website, is dicktelleur.com.